NFL, but when you solve something for the NFL, like our schedule, or when you help us solve for, the types of things that we're doing, like on the sideline with Microsoft and how they helped us, that makes, if you can solve a tablet surviving on that field in those conditions with that kind of usage, you really can figure out most of corporate America, how to use it in most of corporate America. So what I love is that our lab, our field, and our experiences are so unique that these tech partners love working with us. And that's how we end up getting, AWS to the table, and our sponsorship team works really hard on all that. But they've also found that even companies that were non-traditional tech companies are now tech companies. So Visa and others, that they're all interested in how to activate through technology. And so I think a lot has been written about the intersection of CMOs and CIOs and CTOs and CDOs, and how that's changed a lot of companies. And I think in the sports world, where traditional sponsorship, partnership integrates and does it really well, I think that's where you get those big aha opportunities.
Much more than slapping a logo on something.
You know what? People don't want to just slap logos now.
Right.
They want you to use their product, and we have needs for all these products, and so it's great. We all of our sponsors and partners have been so supportive and helpful, and certainly we have an agreement that we have to follow, and the lawyers always make sure we're staying in our lanes, but the collaboration that I feel like in my career I've gotten to have with some of the best has just grown me exponentially more than I would have. I'd have just stayed a CIO at Disney, or even though that was the path I was on, I thought I was going to sort of slow down and go to sports. Unfortunately, no, I actually sped up, and now the exposure to these partners has opened up a whole nother career almost of opportunities. So.
Speaking of other opportunities, you're on a number of boards as well, in addition to your role with the NFL. Can you talk a bit about, first of all, what those are for the audience, and then how those experiences might play into your CIO role at the NFL?
Yeah, I was very, happy that the NFL was supportive of me serving on corporate boards, because it was something I was doing before I arrived at the NFL, and I think it's important to always bring new and fresh ideas, however you can get them, and then you can certainly come to great conferences like this, but when you get to be in on the ground level of decision making of companies that are really doing very cool things that aren't in conflict or competition, or certainly you have to make sure you're in the right boards. But one of the boards I'm on is a company called Ring Central, and I joined it very early in the process, and we have watched that company go from sort of startup to grown up to the leader in UCAS and the top in the Magic Quadrant. To watch that happen, and to watch the change and the pace of change and the speed of change and how they had to adjust, really helped me bring that back to the NFL and say, look guys, we have to be a lot faster, because, we can't, just wait for everything to be perfect. We've got to take some risk. And that's one of the things I've learned is, taking measured risk. And having a chance to serve on boards in the Silicon Valley, where there's been a big push to add female directors, has been great too, because back to the advocacy thing, I got my first board seat from a guy from Coastal Ventures who gave up his board seat so that a female could join the board. That's how committed he was. It was like they found me, and then there wasn't a spot. Like, no one wants to roll off these successful boards, so you kind of have to wait for someone to retire. And he was like, look, I already serve on, I'm gonna roll off this board too. So yeah, the board service has taught me a little bit about, all of those things, as well as how to manage and, sort of champion diversity. diversity and inclusion as well.
That's a great example, going back to our diversity topic, of having a very generous male figure as an ally to put you in a position to be on that board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's very exciting. So we're obviously at CES 2020. It just sounds so futuristic.
I know.
The panel I just did before this, I kind of concluded by asking them where we'll be in 2025. So I want to go into that a little bit with you. Obviously, this panel is about the NFL's digital frontier, how you're approaching the next 100 years in the league. I would love to get as forward thinking as we can get with you in our last few minutes here of, if we were to be here, 5 years from now, just sitting next to each other, what would be your main focus has been and best accomplishments been that you've kind of accomplished since 2020? And so, obviously 5G is big right now, and that's when you talk about how it's going to change a lot of things around the league. What are you really focused on over the next 5 years, which would be year 13 or your role in CIO if you're still there?
Yeah, let's hope I am. Again, back to what I said about the most important thing we have is the game and our product. So I hope that 5 years from now, I'm talking to you or someone about all the advancements we've made in understanding player health and safety, and that it's changed not only how our game is played, but how other sports are played, and how we've had an impact across the whole of sports by investing in a deep level understanding of our players' health and safety. I'd hope to be able to say we have a whole new fan base of people that had never watched American football and never understood American football, that are now playing fantasy, who want the feed of anything and everything we can provide, that our games are, strong and competitive as always, but we find new and advanced ways to make sure that the game stays as great as it is, but also put things in, that, we have chips in the ball, we have chips in the players. We're not that far from chips in the field and, chips in the sticks. We have cameras in all the pylons. We have so many of the pieces and parts. I think 5 years from now, I'll be talking to you about how we integrated all those pieces and parts to even take the game to the next level.
Is there a point where there's potentially too much technology, or just there's overdone? Is that possible?
Yeah, it absolutely is possible, and I'll go back to what I said in the beginning, which technology should never be done for technology's sake. And if it doesn't have a purpose that it needs, and it's overkill, then we should not do it. And it doesn't mean that we shouldn't R&D, because there could be a point in the future where this could mean a lot. So I'm always encouraging R&D, but that many pieces and parts, that means there's that many other points of failure as well. And you can overcomplicate something that in its purest form doesn't need complicating. So the running out of the sticks to measure whether you have a first down or not, do we really need to do that in the future? But maybe we still will. There are things where you don't just need to do it just because you can. You need to do it because you should, and because it will make the experience better. It'll make our coaches and players the best they can be. As long as we keep coming back to those core values, then I don't think we'll overtake it.
And that goes back to your theme of getting the technology right. Is that, how do you, I want to get into our last minute here. Obviously NFL is a major business, and there's a bunch of devoted fans around the world, to say the least. How do you ultimately show the ROI of these new tech initiatives, whether it's chips in the football, 5G in the stadiums? There has to be some accountability, obviously, for your role. So that's going back to our main theme of innovation versus tradition. NFL's a great business. How do you incorporate innovation without upsetting the people that profit from that business?
Yeah, I think anyone would say growing a customer base or a fan base is a good thing. And technology can help you acquire new fans that you never would have acquired, or you would have acquired them at a much higher cost. So I think any investment in fan acquisition and fan growth really shows. We have our digital team and our insights and data scientists. They have modeled the customer lifetime value or the fan lifetime value. And there's a real ROI on investing in fans and growing fans and making sure that it's on the right trajectory. So those are very easy, one-to-one, you can totally prove it. It gets a little harder when it comes to the game because that's about preserving the legacy of the competition. And it might not have a direct ROI, but what it does have is the longer our star players can be on the field, not injured, playing, drives ratings drive network contracts, which drives huge amounts of revenue.
Right.
And the new ways that we distribute content now, instead of just distributing, long form, live games, the ways you can distribute now in smaller segments is a whole new monetization model around taking your digital content library and making it in a way that you can easily make it accessible to people who want snippets of NFL content and pay us for it. And track where that ends up and track the ROI on that. And marketing technology and also just ad tech these days, you can really track where your content ends up and how you monetize it. So I think all of those come into play anytime we want to do a really big investment. And without it, it's a question about should we. So that's a little bit about how that works.
Right. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for the time on the stage. Thank you everyone for attending. I hope you learned a lot from Michelle. Michelle McKenna.
Thank you.
Hey, she is the National Football League's Chief Information Officer. I'm not sure where she begins and Brian Rolop ends, but maybe I'll get a chance to ask her later off camera. Subscribe to Zinni62 on YouTube and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com.